Hey folks, Mr. Phil with you. I do a lot of production of what is commonly called fermented garlic honey. It's not actually fermented garlic. It doesn't actually ferment. There's a lot to this. What scares me is there's a lot of misconception about how this can be done safely at home and safely in small batch manufacturers. So I wanted to take a minute. I'm going into the kitchen. I want you to join me while we talk about the safety aspects and what you have to do to get this stuff into a jar, which is shelf stable, like the one I'm holding here. So let's head in my commercial kitchen. We're going to talk about the safety of garlic honey. Thank you. Hey folks, this is Mr. Phil from Alabama Hot Sauce. That's alabamahotsauce.com on the web. I was winding up my day in the kitchen today, and I thought I would give you a look into something that I've had a lot of questions about constantly over the last couple of years, and that is the processing of garlic honey and the safety of this product. So I've got 150 pounds of garlic honey now that is nearly in the final stage of treatment. It's really not fermentation. We'll talk about that in just a moment. And so I thought I would show you just a little bit about what I do and how I make sure that this stuff is delicious and safe. Now, before we get started, I've got all my stuff laid out I'm going to need out here beside me. I've got 2 buckets of cleaning solution. I always keep them. 1 bucket I use to keep my implements in. And the other bucket is my scrub bucket. This is 400 parts per million chlorine. This one's 200 parts per million chlorine. But anyway, I want to stay clean. I want to stay neat. I want to stay orderly. That's uniquely important with honey. Now, what I've got here is I have a bucket that began with 50 pounds of fresh peeled California garlic. This California garlic was covered over by 25 pounds of local, lightly filtered honey. So we had what we would call natural local honey on top of American grown garlic. Now, this garlic sat for 3 weeks in this honey. I then drained out the honey and I added fresh new honey to it, and it is sat for now 9 more weeks. Okay? Now, what I want to do is I'm going to take my little scooper out here, and I'm going to show you how beautiful this stuff looks. This is classic of American grown honey. It's good looking stuff. The pods are all about the same size. It's absolutely wonderful. Now, when I first put this in, this honey occupied nearly to the top of the barrel. Now it's almost halfway down. And the reason for that is that the moisture inside the garlic has flowed out into the honey. Honey, as we know, is a hygroscopic material. It absorbs water, so honey sucks out the water inside that garlic, and as a result, it reduces the size of the garlic. Now, let's clear up a couple of things. I want to first talk about honey and why honey is so-called safe forever. And it's basically 3 things. Number 1, honey has a low pH. Most honey is in the neighborhood of 3 to 3.4 pH. That's very, very good. It makes the honey extremely safe. In addition to that, honey has a very low water activity. And water activity is basically the amount of water that's not bound up with some other chemical that's available to feed pathogens. Now, in the case of honey, since honey is a supersaturated sugar blend, what happens is the vast majority of the water gets drawn and attached to the sugar molecules. This leaves very, very little water for the honey to feed pathogens. But probably the most important one is the one that people don't realize. In the process of gathering nectar, processing the nectar in the hive, in their body, then in the hive, honey produces peroxide. So also in that raw honey you eat, there is a low dose of peroxide. And even though when we were young, we were taught that you just pour peroxide all over a wound, latest research says that small doses of peroxide given more often are better. So your local honey produces peroxide, and it continues to do that throughout a significant time in the portion of the life of the honey. Now, the peroxide that it produces eventually breaks down and turns into other components. So what we have in honey is we have a very, very low, slow production of peroxide. And peroxide probably, of all the things about this honey that makes it safe, is the number one thing. Now, the second thing I want to point out to you is that in honey and garlic, the garlic does not ferment. Now, the honey will not ferment until we add the garlic in. All the water comes out of that garlic into the honey. The honey reaches a point where there's enough water to support fermentation, and the yeast can no longer be killed by low pH because the pH has been diluted. In addition to that, the water content has risen. So the yeast in the honey comes alive, and the honey itself starts to ferment. The only thing that the garlic is doing is it's sitting there and it's absorbing or equalizing its internal content with the external content of its environment, which is honey that's been fermented and it's low pH. So we end up with a product that is not really totally garlic anymore and is swimming in a liquid that's not totally honey anymore. Now, this is the thing that's very important to mention. If you start out with honey that has a pH of 3.2, which is quite typical of honey, and you let the water come out into that honey from this garlic, you will get to a pH of about 4.6 to 4.8. Now, we all know that a pH of 4.6 and a 4.8, we are not safe. So, if you're going to keep this honey, this fermented honey, oh, they call it fermented honey, it's really infused honey. If you're going to keep this infused honey and you want it to be shelf stable, you're going to have to do something about that pH. Now, what I do is that when I switch out the honey after 3 weeks and put new honey in it, I add roughly 4 cups of white distilled alcohol to this mixture. And what that does is it lowers the pH and compensates for the rising pH that occurs as the garlic releases its moisture. Now, another thing to point out is that garlic is a very dense fruit. So as garlic lays in this water, it very, very slowly equalizes with the environment. Garlic starts out with a pH around between 4 and 5.5. And gradually, the interior of this garlic gets infused with this low pH, and it makes it somewhat safe, okay? Now, what we're going to do is I want to actually measure the pH, and I'm going to measure it 2 ways. I'm going to measure first the pH of the liquid, and then I'm going to measure what we call the equilibrium pH. So I'm going to take some honey cloves out and put them in the mortar and pestle, and I'm going to get my meter out here. Now I expect that this honey, the liquid, is going to measure around 3.6, 3.7, somewhere in that area. That's what I anticipate. We'll actually test it and see what it measures. So I come in here and I turn my machine on. Now every morning I keep my pH meters sitting here in this measuring cup. Every morning when I come in, the first thing I do is calibrate them. I calibrate them each day. I don't have to calibrate them again. So I'm going to circle this around in this honey. Give it plenty of time to reduce. It's still going down. Still going down. And we have a pH of 3.82. Now, it's a touch higher than what I expected. It could be many, many, many things. I could have put a little more than 50 pounds of garlic. I could have put a little more than 25 pounds of honey. So what I will likely do is on the next inspection, I will probably add more vinegar to this. The vinegar doesn't influence the taste hardly at all because the fermented honey is already taken on a sour taste. So you don't even notice the vinegar at all. Now, there's another very important measure. As I told you, the garlic is rather slow in taking up the acidity of the honey. So I've got my mochajetti here, and this honey I put in here, and I'm going to crush these things up and pulverize this garlic. Takes a little while. But I'm going to pulverize it so that I can get my probe to measure what was the interior contents of that garlic, okay? Now, I've got a pretty good mash here. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to take my meter and I'm going to measure the pH of what's inside this garlic here. And I'm getting a pH of about 4.5. Now, that is marginal, as we know, 4.5. So as this garlic continues to soak in this honey, it will continue to take up acidity. It will eventually reach what we call equilibrium pH. And that is when the interior of this garlic and the juice the garlic is floating in reach the same pH, okay? That is essential, absolutely essential if you want to keep your garlic. Putting it in honey and letting it sit for months and months and months and then pulling it out and putting it in a jar and thinking that it's fermented the way peppers are or fermented the way kimchi is and assuming that everything is good with that honey is a terrible mistake, and it's a very, very dangerous mistake. You simply cannot do that. You have to do something to lower the pH in this honey. Now, it is not as disastrous to have a pH of like 4.6 in the honey because remember, what is still in that honey is peroxide. Now, that peroxide is diluted, but the amount of peroxide that's naturally in honey can be diluted by a factor of 3, and it will still be a reasonably good germicide. So we still want to get the equilibrium pH. We don't have to get it down quite as low as we would like for safety, simply because we've got the inside this honey, we've got the peroxide, which is a amazingly good antibiotic. Okay? Anyway, folks, that's the way it is. Now, what we'll do here is I will close this honey back up. It is basically stopped gassing. It's not producing any gassing. The honey is fully fermented, so it's not going to produce any additional CO2 as the yeast works. Most of the yeast in this honey has been used up and has stopped reproducing because as time went on, it got lower and lower and lower on the key ingredient needed, which is sugar. And that's why I say we end up having something that's not quite garlic, it's not quite honey, but it is absolutely delicious. All right, folks, I hope that gave you a little introduction as to what we're doing. Maybe what I'll do is I'll come back 9 weeks from today. We'll open this again. We'll see what changes we've had in pH. I'll do a sort of follow-up to this. Like I said, I've been asked many, many times what you have to do to make this stuff safe. And I think this little video probably tells you the majority of what you need to safely make fermented garlic honey at home or infused garlic at home. And if you follow these steps, if you add some acidity, if you watch your pH, everything will be good. Again, folks, thank you. I'd appreciate it if you enjoyed this video, if you'd subscribe to my channel. While you're there, give me a thumbs up so YouTube will know you liked it. And ring that bell, and that way YouTube will notify you each and every time I produce a new video. In any event, folks, once again, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.